There's a secret that almost no one talks about when it comes to the world of venture capital and limited partners. A secret behind closed doors. A truth that gnaws at your gut every time you wonder if you're really being seen, really being heard, or if you're just part of some endless game that someone else is playing. The kind of game where your money is talked about like a number on a spreadsheet, but your real worries, the fear of losing it all, the frustration of feeling powerless, the question, am I really in control, are pushed aside, ignored. You know how it feels to hand over your hard-earned capital and then sit on the sidelines, waiting, hoping, sometimes praying for returns, for transparency, for respect. But what actually happens when those doors close between you and the venture capitalists you bet on? You might think it's about shared visions and clear communication, but if you've been around the block, you've felt the cold shadow of ambiguity creeping in. VCs talk big about partnership, but the reality is often a stall of information, a dance of polite vagueness, a place where your questions get softened, where decisions happen quietly, where you are reminded, very subtly, that you don't call the shots. That's the harsh side of the relationship. The place where many limited partners get stuck feeling like silent investors, the ones who show up with the check but are sidelined in influence. Questions you want answered? They linger. Concerns about allocation, strategy shifts, emerging risks? Sometimes they vanish into a black hole of excuses or carefully crafted assurances. And you're left wondering if you're part of something dynamic and innovative, or just a cog in an opaque machine. But here's what must be said and heard. That doesn't have to be your story. What happens behind those closed doors can be completely different. It can be a place where your voice is sharp, clear, unavoidable, where you aren't sidetracked but invited into the most crucial moments, where transparency isn't a buzzword, it's a pact, where your role as a limited partner transcends cold financial transactions and becomes a true partnership built on trust, respect, and a shared hunger for transformation. So what's actually possible? How can you take control that feels like it's been wrenched from your hands? First, recognize that waiting quietly isn't a strategy. It's a trap. The real power comes from asking the tough questions. Not once, not twice, but relentlessly. Don't settle for scheduled reports that gloss over details. Demand windows into the guts of the operation. Deep dives into portfolio health. Candid updates on risks, even when the news isn't good. Insist that conversations happen live, no sugarcoating, no delays. Next, surround yourself with the few who refuse to accept the usual scripts, the limited partners who push, who challenge, who change the narrative. These voices are rare, but unstoppable. They make the system bend, not break. Connect with peers who care as fiercely as you do. Swap intelligence, hold each other accountable. This isn't about friendliness, it's about power. Your power. Alone, you're a whisper. Together, you become a storm. And here comes the sharp edge. Understand the system won't gift you this kind of partnership. You have to take it by force through clever, unyielding engagement. Don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect invitation. Create them. Set the agenda. Bring new ideas to the table. Questions that flip the script. Insights that disrupt the comfortable status quo. You want transparency? Show up with tools and frameworks that make hidden information pop open. Demand access to real-time data, not polished narratives. Push for accountability that can't be swept under the rug. One of the biggest barriers isn't the VCs themselves. It's the way limited partners accept their role as passive check writers. Flip that mindset. You're not a customer. You're a co-creator of value. Your capital is fuel, but your knowledge and engagement are the ignition. When you combine both, you become unstoppable. Now, let's talk about something even deeper, the emotional toll. It's draining, right? The stress, the anxiety, the sleepless nights, wondering if you made the right call, if the funds you trusted are truly managed with your interests at heart. That feeling when every update feels like a cryptic message, when silence stretches too long, and your confidence dips dangerously low. It's not just about money, it's about your freedom. Freedom from doubt, from regret, from being sidelined in your own financial destiny. The antidote to this pain? Radical transparency and ruthless honesty. Demand it not just from the VCs, but from yourself and your circle. Be brutally honest about what you want, what you won't settle for. Don't just seek comfort in numbers. Seek clarity in communication. Seek respect and recognition. When you make your standards loud and clear, when you refuse to dance to anyone else's tune but your own, every interaction shifts. You don't sacrifice your power, you wield it. Imagine a relationship with your venture partners where every meeting is electric with purpose, where truth isn't avoided but spotlighted, where the risks and rewards are laid bare in ways you understand deeply and can act on, where you're not just waiting for news, you're shaping the story. That kind of partnership, not the illusion but the real thing, is exactly what you deserve. And this isn't theory or fantasy. There are limited partners out there right now living this reality. The ones who show up, who ask questions that make VCs pause, who demand answers that peel back layers until raw truth stands exposed. They don't accept excuses. They demand accountability. They don't tolerate silence. They insist on dialogue. They don't play safe. They play smart, strategic, ruthless when it counts. You have access to this power too. It's not locked behind exclusive doors or secret handshakes. It's available to the limited partner who refuses to be quiet, who refuses to be a shadow, who refuses to be powerless. It starts with one decision: to be more than just a passive investor, to claim your seat at the table, to speak up and keep speaking up, to form alliances with those who share your fire, to build a new kind of relationship, one built not on convenience but on deliberate action and mutual respect. Make no mistake, the system expects you to stay silent, to absorb whatever is given, to passively trust that all is well. But the real progress, the real liberation, happens when you reject that script, when you rise above the frustration and claim your role as a sovereign player in this game, when you refuse to let fear or discomfort silence you. So ask yourself, are you ready to step into that fire? To fight for information, power, clarity? To turn frustration into fuel? Because once you embrace this mindset, everything changes. You start seeing behind the curtain. You start noticing the patterns, the moments where control slips away, and you grab it back. You start building a network that's fierce and unrelenting. You start cultivating patience and persistence that pays off in dividends not just financial, but of peace and confidence. This isn't about quick wins or easy fixes. It's about transformation, the kind that shakes your core and rewrites how you operate in the world of venture capital forever. Behind closed doors, the real conversations are waiting. The moments filled with possibility, the openings to reshape your role, your influence, your destiny. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to accept what is handed to you. You can step forward, demand what's yours, and live every investment fully, powerfully, unapologetically. Your fire isn't meant to be buried. It's meant to blaze. And behind those closed doors, if you dare to push, to insist, to take control, your light will not just shine, it will set the whole room on fire.